So who would like to go first?
Good morning, colleagues. I'll go first. This is Faith Ruffin at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. And I'm very happy to be here with everyone this morning, and I'm looking forward to what we have in store. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we ask everyone to just put their cameras on when they greet so that we can see you for a moment, and also when you speak? It's really difficult running workshops when one can't even see one's colleagues. Thank you.
Morning, I can go. Morning, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Boy from the University of the Western Cape, as well as a coach. Thanks. Happy to be here.
You're welcome.
Morning, colleagues. My name is Rejoice Nsibande. I'm at the University of Pretoria in the Department for Education Innovation. We support academic staff. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Thabiseng Ogude. I'm a coach. Happy to be here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sue Pather from UWC, Siyaphumelela Student Success Lead at UWC. Happy to be here. Thanks. Also in the FYE work stream. Thanks.
Welcome.
Hey everyone, I'm Tabanka Nedi from Wits University, and I work in institutional research.
Welcome.
Morning, everyone.
Morning. Morning, my name is Mzwandile Khumalo from DUT. I'm a teaching and learning development practitioner and Siyaphumelela lead.
Great morning, Swandile. Nice to see you. Hope your connectivity is stable today, because you're going to need it.
Morning, colleagues. My name is Christina Mora Udzi from UKZN in the Office of the DVC Teaching and Learning, and also Project Manager 3 in the Kresge project.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ermin van Pletsen. I'm one of the coaches.
Thank you. Faith?
Morning, everyone. I'm Badru Abdubaki. I'm from UKZN, technology consultant at UKZN. Thanks.
Thank you. Has everybody had a chance? Sue?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Esther Mpanda from the University of Pretoria, the Department for Education Innovation.
Welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Faith Matibedi, Education Consultant, University of Pretoria.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And hi, everyone. I'm Ashton Mahiri from Sadie.
I'm Marila Białobrzeszka from Sadie.
I'm Ephraim Klanga, also from Saidi and part of the Siyaphumelela team.
I'm Tony Lelliot, also from Sadie.
And I'm sure you all know me. I'm also Alan from Sadie, and Marilla and I will be facilitating this component today. So have we all said hello? Have we missed anybody?
Ellen, sorry, it's me, Koo.
Hi, sorry, Koo.
No problem. Hi, everyone. I'm Koo Parker, ex-DUT. Yeah, and I think you'll be hearing a lot more from me from the Sadie side. Thanks.
We're so happy to have you on board, Koo.
Same here, Marilla. Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to share the website of this component with everyone.
I see our colleague Shamla Rama from UKZN has also just joined us.
Okay.
Thank you. Shamla, would you like to introduce yourself and put on your video for a sec so we can all see you? Shamla, you're muted. Would you like to introduce yourself?
She probably has technical issues.
Okay. And then let's proceed.
Yep. So the outline is in this about component, but we will think about this a little later. So I would like to start off by talking a little bit about the way in which we would like to think about. I am having a echo. Are you having an echo?
No,
Okay.
not.
Okay. So one of the things that we all like to do is to tell stories. So I'm going to tell some stories today, but of course they are going to lead to something more important. So the first one is the story of Dave. This is an interesting component of the story, is that in America, a group of teachers thought it would be a good idea for the students to have a look at a stream that was under environmental impact. So they asked the people who were looking after the stream if they could invite their students to come and have a look at the degradation and how they might want to improve the environmental impacts or get rid of some of them. So the groups said yes, they definitely wanted to do projects in the field about the stream. And there was Dave. Dave was a star. He was a real star. He collected useful data. He taught not only the teachers, but also all the students that were part of this. And he taught them also about science. So he was really quite an ingenious young man. And at the day of the presentation, which all the students had to show their work that they were doing in posters, he took around the members of the parents and explained what was going on. So now the question was, what happened in the mathematics class? Would somebody think about or guess what was happening in the mathematics class? Well, he could only be on task for very short periods of time. I'm sure you know where this is going. He couldn't draw graphs, but yet he was able to use data when he collected it and showed it people how to work with it, and when they were at the streams. He was diagnosed as ADHD. So now, how can this be true that in one scenario of teaching, he is a star, and in another one, he isn't? So how can we think about this, and what does it mean? It's about the activity. So we're going to talk a little bit about the activity. When the activity was, when he was part of it, and not being just spoken to, he was a star. The next one is a story about John Seely Brown. John Seely Brown was one of the first people who was involved in artificial intelligence long, long ago. He was employed by Xerox because they had so many people working in them. They wanted this guru of artificial intelligence to improve Xerox's performance. So let's have a look at what he did. Here is the narration and John Seely Brown and Julian Orr, who was a scientist who looked in things, an anthropologist. Who would like to read these stories? Would somebody? Anybody?
Okay, I don't mind. Where do you want me to start?
Can you make them a bit bigger, Alan? Is it possible to make it a bit bigger?
Yeah, that would be a great help.
Yes, I can make it a little bigger.
Okay.
So
now,
if you want to be the narration, who would like to be John Seely Brown?
I don't mind. I'll be admin.
Okay, and Julian?
I'll take that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go.
when John Seely Brown arrived at Xerox, he discovered Xerox was spending many millions of dollars a year training tech reps how to repair their office equipment, such as copiers and printers. Xerox wondered if he could use any of these sophisticated artificial intelligence tools to enhance the ability of their tech reps to learn similar troubleshooting skills more cost effectively. This could be a substantial opportunity for Xerox since it has 21,000 tech reps around the world. What he did was to first hire some anthropologists.
Julian, I want you to go and live with these savages, understand how they work, understand how they really learn, and come back and tell us.
And Julian went off to live and to work and to drink and to even to go to school with these guys.
John, you are not going to be happy.
Why is that?
Everything you have ever written about troubleshooting is wrong. You think you're an expert on troubleshooting, but do you know how these guys actually troubleshoot?
No, tell me, Julian.
First of all, what happens is whenever a tech rep gets stuck, it calls in another tech rep, and then standing around the problematic machine, they start to weave a story that starts to explain some of the particular symptoms of the machine. And then some fragment of the initial story reminds them of something else, which suggests a few more measurements to make, which in turn produces some more data that reminds them of another fragment of a story, and so on. Troubleshooting for these guys is really just weaving together a narrative that eventually explains all the symptoms and test data of this machine. And then when they have made sense of all of the data, the narrative is finished and the machine is diagnosed.
I'm coming, just too many things. Okay, can you go down a little bit, Alan? Okay, now, so troubleshooting is really story construction, not abstract logical reasoning.
So what do you think he did? What solutions did he provide? Well, did he build an LMS for training, technical training? Who says yes and who says no? Well, he didn't do that. Let me just make this a little smaller. Did he present workshops to improve the technician's skills? Who says yes? Well, what do you think? No, he didn't. What he actually did, he built a two-way practice using always-on two-way radios, and he was the first one to create a social network website. So the story here is not about teaching people, it's about using tools that make it easier for them to do their work. So this is about tool mediation. The next story is one of my students when I was at UKZN. He was, we were making games for kids to learn about the different ways, and this one was about genetics, and we know how badly people know and think about genetics. So we built a video game, and the misconceptions that we had identified were turned into problems that they had to solve as students. The students were from northern KwaZulu-Natal, and they played the game individually. And they said that they all solved the puzzles, but did they overcome misconceptions? Now, we all know how difficult it is to overcome misconceptions. Well, they didn't overcome their misconceptions, and we were really quite despondent to think about this because we had put so much effort into it. So what we then said, well, let's play in pairs. And that means that two people can talk and think and play together. They could discuss the puzzles, and when we gave them the measurement instrument, they could also ask questions about it. So, and what happened? They overcame most of their misconceptions related to the problems that they solved. So what does this mean? Well, it's about working together. It's about collaboration. So if we take those three kinds of things, it's authentic learning, tool mediation, and social collaboration. And there's the CAT framework. And if you look at it, it's a bit of a cat on its side. So what are authentic tasks? So here are the components of authentic tasks: real world relevance. They're not structured saying, oh, you must do A, B, C, D. The kids can do, or the students can do any way they like to look at it. The task must be complex. Simple tasks are not good for students to think and learn. Allow students to investigate from different perspectives. Allow collaboration and reflection. And reflection is something that has to be built. It is not a natural way of doing things. Now, this is not very often able to be done at universities, about having different subject areas together, but it needs to be included into the assessment, the projects that they must be polished, and they then should have competing solutions. So there isn't a one-fits-all answer. So, but we can take it a little further and talk about authentic assessment. So the context of a reflection of the conditions, multiple indicators of learning, crafting polished products and performances. It takes time and effort, and it involves complex, ill-structured challenges. The other part is the role of technology. The one that we all know very well, because many people do this, is just to dump something into the LMS and then the kids must do that. So there needs to be an information, but it is also about communication, collaboration, and transformation tools. So what is a transformation tool? I'm sure all of you use Excel. Why do you use Excel? Because you have to get marks in a certain way. And therefore, just like John Seeley Brown gave them a walkie-talkie, that is the tool that was used. And of course, these are also professional. And then the social collaboration, there is a lot of work that says that when people work together, even when we work together, our outcomes are much better. Thank you. So I want to make this little small. So if we now think about these kinds of ways of thinking, we can look at the way in which we can talk about some of the principles. So if we look at the way teaching is done in many ways, mostly it's this transmission of information. So it's a didactic teaching tools. But then there are technologies that can act as mediators. And then there is the one with authentic learning that we have called transformative pedagogy. So if we now look at these components that we did some work for the Department of Basic Education, and we came to this these components, and we called it the Nimble framework. So the notion of learning is acquisition, participation, or contribution. So it's okay if you want to work there, but we also need to do this. So if we now start to move these into different things, it's moving this process as well. So the models of learning is instructive, cognitive, or mediative. So let's just put it there. Then the mode that they're learning is reproductive. It's so nice to just take a paper and say, oh, summarize it. It's nothing going to happen. It's just reproduction. Interaction, conversational, and then there is transformative. So when you start to ask students to do interesting things. And of course, we all know about Bloom's taxonomy. It's about remembering, understanding, applying, evaluate, and we want them to create. So if we start here, this is transformative pedagogy. If we come in the middle, something like that, it's technology mediated. And if it's this way, it's didactic. We're not saying that one is better than the other, because sometimes you have to learn something. Maybe you need to do your 2 times table and know it very well. So it is the didactic way of looking at it. So here are the resources from which these talks were what I have been talking about. So you can come here and open all these documents and they are available to you. So this is where we want to start. Do you want to ask any questions at the moment? No? Okay. Shall we continue? Or is it silence is silence? What we want you to do is to look at a course that we at Sadie had made, and it's a course for teachers who have no background in early learning components. So this is a Roger Federer component, and it's for pre-primary schools. So we are not going to look at the content. I want you to discuss and look at the way in which this is created. So it's about the design. And we will also use a tool. We'll show you a tool, how to use it. And then we want to examine how media is used in this. And then finally, we will look at the transformative pedagogical framework. So here is the first activity that we would like you to do. You can do this together, or you can do it individually. It doesn't matter. What we want you to do is to go to the Know How website and look at it. So I'm going to show you the website. And let me put this in. Can I do that? Where is the chat? Let me just take this to here. So you should, there is the URL in the chat for you to use. So here is the component. You can see that the early learning, Know How Early has an introduction, it has modules, it has a pre and post assessment. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 modules. And each module has a number of units in it. And so each unit has a introduction and some activities. And so why are you here? And then, so it goes across. So the idea that we would like you to do is to explore the website, select one module and develop a written outline of the learning components and design, and then compare that to another module in that. And so we'll give you 30 minutes to do this, and we'll come back in here. Ashton, do we have any breakaway rooms if people want to work together?
We haven't set it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we
haven't
could.
discussed it.
Would you like to work individually or would you like to work together?
So, I mean, for
Together is
example,
fine. Together is fine.
there are 3 people from UP, and there are a number of people from UKZN. So there are some people that I'm sure would like to work in groups. So it's about getting the right people into the right group.
So let's just think about the I want to see the people. Just so would the coaches like to go into one, Pretoria into another, UKZN, and we, the Sadie, and can be together then?
There's also, there's DUT, there's WITS, there's UWC.
Yep.
So maybe we have one group for UKZN, one group for UP, one group for coaches, and then everybody else into one group. So that's 4 groups.
Is that okay to do that, Ashton?
Yes, that's fine. I'm going to open the rooms now.
So
Thank
I think we just need to be clear that everyone needs to access the link, the URL that Alan has posted in the chat, in order to get into the online website, which Alan is currently sharing with us on the screen. You can't work on the screen. You have to go into the actual website to undertake this activity, which is to really examine carefully the structure of the learning design in one module of this course, which happens to be a course designed for teachers in the early childhood development space. And Alan mentioned Roger Federer. The only thing that Roger Federer has to do with it is that Roger Federer Foundation funded the development of this course, because Roger Federer funds a lot of educational work in Southern Africa. So the task is about examining the structure of the learning design in one module, then looking at a second module and comparing the structure of the learning design to see if there's similarities or differences across two random modules that you pick.
Okay, Marilla, may I ask a question? This is
Please
Faith.
do.
May I see again the actual assignment? I want to take a picture of it.
But if you go into the website, the
Oh, I'm going to
assignment,
see this activity one in the website?
yes, you'll see the
Okay.
introduction, you'll see everything
Okay.
that Alan has shared so far,
there.
including the activity, and you'll be able to read it together with your group and discuss how you'd like to approach doing the assignment.
Okay, so there are two websites we're looking at.
No,
The one that he shared last that says NGO courses, and then there was another one that was shared earlier.
So the one is the workshops information with the activity that I'm showing here.
Is
But
that the
you
one
have
from 905 or the one from 932?
It's the same thing. Alan has just posted it more than once.
Oh,
So
okay.
it says Open Sadie NGO course.
Uh-huh. Okay, it's all the same thing. All right,
It's
thank
the
you.
Same. So if everyone is clear, you need to look into the chat. And on the
just
chat,
excuse me for a moment.
Sorry, please, can you post it again? I think at the time I came in, I missed the first link, because on the know-how early learning page, that's the course. I do not have the information that Alan is sharing just now.
Okay, I'll post it now.
There was one posted at 9:05, which is the Open Sadie, sorry, the use of an online courses, the Siyapho Malela one that was posted at 9:05.
Sorry, I didn't hear you clearly.
Sorry, that's the one that's just been posted by Sue. Thank you.
So the very last URL, Sue Pather has just posted.
Okay.
That's the one everyone needs to go into.
Okay, thanks.
And then when you are in that, you'll get the whole workshop that Alan has been presenting so far, including the presentation of the CAT framework. And then you'll get to the instruction of this activity, activity 1, and it will give you the guidelines for what you're required to do. And then you'll be able to link into this particular, into Know-How Early Learning, which is this particular course, which you've been asked to look at a random module and just examine the structure of the learning design in a random module, and then look at a second one and compare the learning design. And we'll allocate 30 minutes for doing that, and then we'll move out of our groups back into plenary, where we will discuss the actual structure of the learning design. So, Ashton, are you ready to let people go into groups?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so we're going to have one group for colleagues from UP, one group for colleagues from UKZN, one group for coaches, and then everybody else will be together in a fourth group. Okay, thanks. Good luck.
Thank you, Marilla. Okay. Now, let's break up rules.
Ellen, which group do you want to go to?
Can I go to anyone and move around?
Yes, that's fine. Maybe go to UP to start with, I think.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay, so are we all back? So let me share again. So was that an interesting exercise?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so one of the things that we need to now do together for thinking about that, and in the one group, you'd already started talking about the pedagogical principles, but there are three components, remember, we started off with. It's the pedagogical principles, authentic learning, and authentic assessment. So as a group, let us think about the first one, the pedagogical principles, the notion of learning, the ICT, the models of learning design, and Bloom's forms of thinking. So what I had asked the person who created this, Sheila, to actually do this process, and we'll see how she thinks about it and how you thought about it. So
Alan, can we just be clear what we are thinking about the modules we've just reviewed? And we've been thinking about the structure and the learning design, and now we are applying an evaluation tool to that. Is that correct?
Yes. Is everybody okay with that?
Sorry, I thought that was just what we completed now, right?
Yes, but now we're going to talk all together, the whole group.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So we need to present what we discussed in our group now.
We're going to have a discussion. So all the people are going to say, well, let's think about the notions of learning. Where do we think it sits?
But I think people would like to, before we do this step, Alan, I think people actually would like to just consolidate their understanding of what the design actually entailed. So
Yeah,
I think we need to first.
Okay, no problem.
So do we go per
So
group?
yes, do each group want to tell what you did?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay.
Are you going to allow me to share just so that I can?
You can share.
Okay.
I don't know if we can, but you can just talk really.
Okay, so looking at the morning again, colleagues. So basically in our group, we first had to look at the framework. That's the learning approach framework, and we try to understand what each of those areas, the assessment areas are. That's the notion of learning, ICT in education, models for learning design, and the Bloom's form of thinking. And we went through the course as expected, the entire course. We saw, firstly, there's consistency in the design, design approach with the navigation. Then we then looked at our first module that we assessed was the creating an inclusive learning environment. That's module 7. So in that, we could see that when we assessed using the notion of learning, we concluded that it is contribution. That is that the different activities in the module doesn't only require the students. They are not only acquiring knowledge, they are participating at the same time because they had to complete different activities, right? Especially in units 2 and 3. Then unit 3 was what made us to move the bar to the last end, which is contribution, where they are now under the unit 4, where it says the learning group. There, they are not only participating, but they are contributing to one another's learning. So which is more like the peer learning approach, where they are giving feedback to their colleagues, on their own design and how they've used it, or what they've developed, the activity plan, and all that. So which is similar to the other module that we also assess. That's the second module. And that second module is, I think we looked at, was it physical domain or something, but basically it's the same approach. So then when we move on to ICT in education, we moved the bar also to the end, which is mediative, and the reason being that firstly it is instructive. That is, the content is I would say well instructive, like what to do, how to do. Here we have, you know, things like that. Then cognitive, they are learning the content, which is more of like the domain contents that they're expected to learn. Then we moved it to the end, which is mediative. And why we said it's mediative is because there are different features in these learning management system, if I may put it that way, that allows students to how do I put it? It accommodates different learning styles, you know, where if there is that aspect where you can listen to the contents. So which then means that if you are more of maybe an auditory student that likes listening, you can always listen to the content. Or if it's text, you can read the content. There are videos there. You can watch, you know, videos if that's your preference. Or also there's also that part where you can change the language, which then means that also it accommodates different, you know, languages, depending, especially taking away the language barrier, if that's it's going to be a problem. So it's kind of mediates the process of learning that's using technology. Then when we then look at the models for learning design, that's the third criteria, and we moved it straight to the end also. Reason being that it's not just conversational. That's their learning process is not just conversational, but it is transformative. And when I say transformative, we're trying to looking at it that they were also applying, you know, what they were learning at the same time. And an example is when you look at the unit 4 of module 7, where they had to develop their activity plan. And from developing your activity plan, they are also required to apply that in their learning or their approach, you know, when they go back to their school, or when they continue with their own processes. So we moved it to transformative. Then the last one, which is Bloom's forms of teaching, that we also moved it to the end, right? Because they are not only, you know, Bloom's is more like, you know, assessments and what level at which they are, what level of learning are they engaging with. So yeah, they are also creating, and I'm going to refer back to the example I just gave now, where they had to create their own learning plan and use it at the same time. So it was more, it's moved straight to the end, and that then gave us the final evaluation from the learning approach, which is transformative pedagogy, so authentic student learning. So that's basically how we explain our evaluation in our group. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If I may comment, I think the UKZN group clearly went the next step and did an evaluation. The initial task was actually just to simply look at the structure of the learning design. There's nothing wrong with what the UKZN group did. I'm just saying that we haven't actually discussed the structure. So what we wanted to start with was an understanding of the learning design before moving on to an evaluation as to see whether this particular learning design is or isn't transformative. So I think we would still like to engage with some comments around the actual learning design as being the first step before we go to an actual evaluation. And then a further comment I'd like to make is that the use of various aspects of media are in order to have a multifaceted, if you like, approach to learning. It's not specifically to do with learning styles or preferences. it's everybody gets exposed to the text, to the videos, etc. And the audios, apparently, I hope everyone could access the videos and audios, because Tony, for example, said he couldn't. I certainly could, so I'm not sure what the problem was, Tony. But
Safari, they don't work
they
on
little.
Safari.
No, some
Sorry?
of the videos were broken, actually. Some of the videos were broken, the links, yeah.
Okay, so we need to look at that, Alan. Apparently, some of the videos are not working.
Yeah,
But
it's the bandwidth that is because they take an enormous amount of bandwidth.
so this vocabulary is specifically to assist people who may not be first language English speakers. So certain difficult words are selected, and explanations, audio explanations are given to help people understand the content. So it's a particular device used to support learning. But can we possibly hear from at least one other group about the structure, the actual learning design structure? What did you pick up? What were the elements or the components of the design? If somebody could summarize those or comment on those.
Pretoria?
I can try, and Faith, you can add, please, and Esther. So we looked at module 4 and 7, and when we looked at them, we were looking at how they structured, and what we noticed is that in terms of learning and how it can be supported through that structure, there is an introduction which provides some kind of information to somebody landing on that page. What is it that they're going to be engaging with? And to a great extent, the context of the module and what is expected in terms of as an outcome, that can guide whoever is participating in terms of what they need to learn and how. And then we said for the 2 modules that we looked at, guidance is provided at all stages to make sure that people are aware of what they need to do and why they need to do it. The activities are varied and they're simple. That's what we appreciated. And we actually took note of the fact that as much as there is an opportunity for continuous engagement, there is a conscious or deliberate effort to give an exemplar of what is expected before people are given the opportunity to try out or to make an effort to engage with the tasks. And to a great extent, there is a focus on both the module content, but also on reflection. We appreciated that because that's where most of the learning comes through, not just to repeat, maybe try out things that they have already been exposed to, but to make them to reflect on what they have done. Not to describe it. Yes, there is a description to it, but also why they think it worked, how they can improve it going forward. So we like that kind of activity where it's moving from the module content to kind of self-assessment or self-evaluation in terms of how the people are engaging. And then there was connection. There was kind of a build, especially in module 4. So when you get to the next part or unit, there is a way of reminding you a little bit in terms of what has happened. So that way of connecting kind of builds and supports learning. Faith or Esther, anyone wants to add?
Yeah, I think you've said it all. I think you've said it all. Yeah, what I also noted is that the sequencing of the units, when in module 4, as you rightfully said, there is always a looking back type of activity when you start with the next unit, just to look back as to what was happening in the previous one. and then before the next one can start, just like that with all the units in module 4, whereas I didn't experience that in module 7, but it was just a continuation. I think everything was wrapped up at the end with unit 4 learning group activity. That's all I can add.
Thank you. It was interesting to hear your observations. Would anybody from the group that Ku and Sue were in like to comment?
Okay, Marilla, I'll go. Just to reiterate what I'd said when we met, that the aspect of self-reflection was there, which I particularly liked. And just having a look at my notes here. Yeah, so the recapping, you know, as the lady who just said, I think it was Faith, said, you know, going back and then the building blocks going forward. I like that in terms of the activities, were activities which you did individually, then as teams, you know, and then finally, right at the end where you're working with other teams, you know, from other schools. And then just a visual one, I kind of just picked that up only now. When you look at that theory of childhood development and the 4 domains, and the artwork is a certain color, so cognitive is a certain color, and emotional is a certain color. And that's actually carried through in all the different units throughout. So yeah, just something I noticed there. Thank you. But yeah, does anyone else want to add from our group?
Thanks, Ku. So I think also I was in in that group, and you know, also just to say that if one looks at the structure, there's a certain pattern that is implemented throughout. So each new unit starts with information. Why are we here? So so that people have an overview at the very beginning, understand the purpose, then the outcomes, then there are activities which allow one to apply what you have the input, or have an activity based on your own experience. And then the whole point of consolidation and reflection, which has been discussed a few times. So there's a particular style that is actually carried throughout the entire module in each unit and in each of the subunits. So I think now we can get to the point which the UKZN group and Badru's group has obviously already thought about, which is the actual evaluation of the learning structure and approach.
Thank you, Marilla. So it's interesting how different groups look at things in different ways, but that's good. That means that the design is complicated, and we need to keep that in mind when we think about how we're going to teach and what we're going to teach. So if we start off now with this component about how we did, so the UKZN had already spoken about this, so maybe we can think about it as a group. So if we think about the notions of learning, is it acquisition, participation, or contribution? Anybody like to say? We know what UKZN said.
So in relation to having looked at the design of this module, where do you think the notion of learning would best be located in terms of what you have engaged with?
Silence. Just say.
I would say that it sits between participation and contribution.
So you can't have you can only have.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. That's Huh.
Yeah, but if you contribution will have participation embedded in it, so you're still fine.
Yeah, in other words,
And
it's all
acquisition
three.
too.
Yeah. If you go contribution, then it means you have the other two embedded in.
Okay, all right.
Yep. Yep. So what about the ICT? So
Mediative.
it's instructive, cognitive, or mediative?
Mediative, I think.
It's about how any elements of ICT, of information communication technology, were actually used in this course. What was the purpose
Mediative.
of
I
the
think
what was the
mediative.
purpose of the audios, the videos, the
Images.
Yeah, it is mediative.
Mediative.
Yes.
Okay. Sheila says that her work, she thinks, is cognitive. But anyway, that's fine. Okay, so what about the models of learning design? Is it reproductive, interactive, conversational, or transformative?
The model. For me, interactive.
There was lots of, remember they had the fourth one, which were people coming from different places. So there was a conversation in the fourth
Yes, true.
part. So conversational.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, and the Bloom's taxonomy?
Depends which modules people actually got to. Because in our group, for example, we only looked at the very first introductory module. So people haven't necessarily experienced sufficient of the course to really know.
Yeah, but the fourth one in all except the first one module is about group work. So that helps the conversation. Of course, it's also interactive.
Mm.
And the forms of
so you think it's not transformation, it's like because they were actually applying, let's say for the module that we looked at, which was 7, the activity plan that they developed, they were asked to apply it also, you know, which then means that they are moving on from just learning, you know, that conversational this thing between others when they were doing the peer learning, but also they were applying what they had created. So I think it's making change, you know, in their approach or the way they are doing things. So that's how we saw it though.
Okay, so can we have a group understanding between conversational and transformative?
What is the consensus?
I would agree transformative as well, especially towards in the last module, they ask, you know, how would you do things differently with the next, you know, group of children, pre-primary kids and things. So, yeah, I would lean more towards transformative as well.
Is everybody happy with that?
So, Alan, could I just ask a question here?
Yes.
For me, yeah. For me, there's sort of a difference between what I can see as the intention of the course, which I would definitely see as transformative if one looks at the kind of way in which the material is constructed, then it moves on from just the individual and then looking at what other people feel as well, and then rethinking your own position, so for me, it looks as if the material and the way you put the course together would be transformative and would, on the whole, lie on the right-hand side of the scale. But now for me, the other question is, in practice, does that actually happen? And I just want to know where do you ask the question at the moment, around how it's intended or around how it works out in practice?
So we are looking at the design.
Okay, so that's in the intentions.
Yes, I think.
Okay, so ideally, this is what you would like to happen in the course. And yeah, so for that, then I would say it sits on transformative.
But it's not only
But
about
I'm not sure.
It's about whether you believe the design actually supports that possibility, the possibility of transformation. Because if the design doesn't support that, I mean, how it pans out or plays out in implementation might, be variable. But it's beyond, I mean, the intention is to move towards the transformative, but does the design actually, is there evidence in the design to support that intention? It's not just a claim.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the design takes you transformative, but it just depends on whether people can actually. Yeah, okay. I will stop here. I'm just sort of trying to work something out for myself.
Well, I just want to come in too, because I understand what you're saying, Armin, because what I'm hearing from you is the practice of transformation. How are we defining not just what transformation is, but determining whether it has occurred in practice? I know that might be that might not be the nature of our discussion today, but I think that's an important point that you're raising. Yeah, thank you.
No, I think it's important to say that if we want to design for it is important, but then when you actually do it, does that process that you put in place work? But this is a good conversation. So let's go.
So Alan, if I can just be sort of like banal for a moment. If you are trying to play a video and you can't manage it because you don't have enough bandwidth, I mean, that's a very practical, very superficial thing that happens. Does that have to do with the design, or would one say that? Because I would say everything depends on the extent to which people can participate. And if so we expect people to have a certain kind of bandwidth. We expect people to be able to connect with each other in order to do collaborative stuff and so on. Where do we make sure that that is the case, especially for a group like these learners?
Okay, so let me give you a little bit of background to this group. There is no connectivity or very low connectivity across Southern Africa where these teachers actually work. So each school, depending on how many teachers there are, early learning teachers, they share a tablet or two. All the information, all the videos, all the books, all the sounds are inside on those tablets. So there is no reason why they wouldn't be able to see and hear the sounds and the videos, because they are integrated into the app. So that's because of the way in which this is designed. It's designed so that there is no way that they can't see the videos. But that doesn't mean when we are creating the same thing, we need to take cognizance of those kinds of things.
So I think the principal point that you're making, Amin, is absolutely critical. And that is that when one designs anything, you have to take, the profile of your participant group into consideration and the context. And this particular course, so it's not been shown in the way that it was actually implemented at the moment, which is actually a bit of a contradiction in terms. But Alan actually designed a very particular app to be used offline. So it was completely accessible to the target group for which this course was designed. But your point is very well taken.
Yeah.
One needs to always consider that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say it's conversational, because there is some transformational components. What about Bloom's? Is it remembering, or is it all of them? Understanding, applying, evaluating, and creating?
All of them.
I agree with that.
All of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
because they had to make things. They had to make all kinds of stuff. So now we come to.
I think you
Yes.
forgot to move the models of learning design, because we all spoke about it just now.
I'm sorry,
From conversational to transformative.
Transformative.
Here.
No.
The models of learning design. Number 3, the third criteria, yes.
You want it there?
Yeah.
I thought we all
Okay.
spoke about it just now, Alan.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's look at the authentic learning components. So it goes from not implemented to fully implemented. So the learning task has real world relevance. Well, I am quite sure that it sits there.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, because it was about their teaching.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so the learning tasks are imprecise or ill-defined.
It's on the left then, surely. Sorry, I can't do negatives.
So in other words, it's some of it is very clearly designed to be, and it's not something that is very difficult, but there is some implementation. So Sheila suggested that it sits in the middle, but we can take it down if you want.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So this is like a negative, kind of like
Positive.
okay.
So in
Yes,
other words,
that's what I was wondering about. It's the way it's stated is in
Yeah.
the negative. I think it would be easier if it was in the
Like it's
positive.
precise.
Yeah,
so
like
how would you like to structure that when something is not directly telling you what to do?
Okay, I think I would put learning task is precise and then put not implemented.
No, it's not precise. That's the whole point about it. You're not telling them what the answer is.
Learning test is imprecise or ill-defined, and then you evaluate implementation. Okay.
So maybe another scale might have just been maybe learning design. When we use strongly agree, not agree, something like that, it then helps. I don't know, but okay.
This is the one that we always struggle with.
Maybe
So
something like open or inconclusive.
Sorry, Alan. You're now moving
Yes.
on to authentic tasks, but we haven't yet discussed kind of what we mean by authentic tasks or authentic activities. And I think maybe that's some of the
we
discussion
did
that's
that right in the beginning.
okay.
Remember, we had the ideas, right? With my stories, the last.
Okay.
And the cards.
Yeah.
But
So then to
this
say
is-
that
This is one of the things that always causes people to say, how can it be ill-defined? Well, it's very easy. If you say to a student, well, will you please read this paper and find 5 components that are relevant. That's very well defined. But if you said to them, I want you to read this paper, and then I want you to take the principles and do it in the with a number of people at your school. That's a totally different way of thinking about it. So that would be ill-defined because you don't know what you're going to find.
So I think the
I see what
term,
you say now. Yeah.
sorry, I was just going to elaborate and say that I think the term ill-defined is hard to engage with because it sounds like a negative. It sounds like it wasn't properly defined in the first instance. So i.e. it wasn't well communicated. It's a problem. And that is not that's not the meaning in this instance. And I think it's about the vocabulary that is actually used or the word choice. And what it actually refers to, and this is Ivo Engerström's theory, and that is that the questions are actually open-ended, so that you don't have a predetermined result. You actually, it becomes what is also referred to as expansive learning, where you open up the options so that people can explore and come to different resolutions.
Yes.
So that is
But
what
maybe open-ended is a better word.
Yeah. I think ill-defined confuses everybody.
Yes, because it becomes hard to gauge whether imprecise is not implemented or fully implemented.
So we are saying that it should be learning task is imprecise and open-ended.
Yeah, or maybe it's exploratory or something. I don't know.
Even imprecise is a problem because
Yes,
imprecise sounds
Right,
sounds
Marilla,
like you don't know how to
I
do
agree.
it.
Is
I
it
agree.
vague?
Yes, maybe it's
So you
open and
just say learning task is
open
open-ended.
and exploratory.
Open-ended, yes.
Maybe even explore. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, open-ended, I can evaluate that, yes.
Okay, good. That's what
Multiple
it's all about.
interpretations.
I hope
So
we're not
if
being too pedantic over here.
No, this is the whole point about these kinds of things.
Okay.
So where do you think it should sit?
It's a useful discussion because we all need to get to a point of having a common understanding of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So in the middle or here, or where would you like to put it?
I think fully implemented.
I think it's, yeah, it is.
I think that there is lots of concrete things that they do. So I think that there is some open-ended stuff, but there is also there is a lot of stuff that isn't open-ended.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, okay. So there is a number of subtasks.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fully.
Fully, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Students to understand complex investigations.
Yeah.
Middle here.
Probably 75%.
Maybe
Almost
before
fully.
Opportunities for students to investigate the task from different perspectives.
I would
Yeah,
say fully.
I think fully.
On that one.
Here.
Fully.
No, fully
implemented.
Fully.
Yes.
I think that a lot of the stuff was quite concrete in some ways. So maybe it's not fully. I think maybe better there. But what do other people think?
Alan, I just want to ask, when you say fully implemented, because I want to believe that it doesn't, you wouldn't be expecting that all the task or the content should have the same level of maybe how do I put it, level of engagement or the type of outcome. So as long as you have a variation, then it then makes it, I don't know if you get what
I hear what you're saying. Okay. Okay. Collaborative opportunities.
Yes.
Yes. Definitely yes.
Reflective opportunities.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Then yields products that include more than one iteration.
More than
Does
one
that mean?
That you do something, you get to do once, and then you get somebody saying, well, what about this? What about that? And you do it again. So one of the things that I always used to say to people when they say, oh, well, you know, the students have to write an essay. And then I say, do you give them the opportunity to correct it? Why? Then I say, well, how many times do you write your paper? Okay, so there is a thing about having not just writing once, but doing iterations. So maybe it sits there.
Okay. Take that.
And then allows competing answers or solutions.
Competing answers. What does that mean?
No.
Yeah, I think it's more or less there in the middle. Competing. So in other words, you have different answers from different people.
But the answers are not competing. They are unique to the individuals, aren't they?
Yes. If you say the answers are not the same, it then means that it's competing, right?
So it means there's because it's open-ended, there's a possibility of viewing the results in a range of different ways.
Then it's fully implemented, because there were a lot of open-ended there, and I would still go back to that activity plan as an example.
Okay. Okay, so about the assessment, so the context is either contrived, artificial, or decontextualized, and it's reflective of content, of context. So when we ask students to write something that is just not anything related to anything that they understand, then it sits maybe down here. So where do you think the context of the assessment that they were doing would sit?
In context, I would say.
Yeah, but for me, I think we didn't really go into the content properly, so we didn't have time to. I might not.
So here maybe, or here. I think the context was very well designed, and it was really targeted very well. The student's role, summarization and once-off essays or polished products and performances.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'll put it before the end.
Yeah.
Before the end, almost.
So,
okay, students'
so I'd
effort.
like to just comment here that term polished product is also one of those slightly difficult terms. You know, what do we mean by polished product? But the idea is that you actually are producing an artifact. You're actually producing something, whether it's a written article or a presentation or whatever, solving a problem in an elegant way. It's an actual complete product.
It's like the activity plan.
Students' effort, little or lots?
Lots.
It's a lot.
And authenticity, simpler structured answers, involves complex, ill-structured challenges. So maybe we should say
open-ended.
Does that.
Open-ended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where do you think the activity sits here? Maybe in the middle?
No, it moves down to the right,
Here.
maybe
Yeah.
around there, because yeah.
And
It's a
then the
combination.
last one is simple indicators or multiple indicators.
Multiple.
What do you mean by
Indicators of what?
The things that you've learned,
Of learning.
indicators of learning.
Like close to
multiple?
maybe little less.
Okay, the question that we're really trying to do is to say that you have a tool that you can use to design your own work or to review your own work. And it talks about the principles of pedagogical authentic learning and authentic assessment. So we go from didactic to transformative pedagogy. There are times when you need to use didactic processes. There are times when technology is just the mediator, but we are really wanting to emphasize authentic student learning. So I just want to make one comment. When we had that horrible place where we all had to wear masks and lots of nonsense, everybody was going mad because the students were copying. So they then bought very expensive software so that they could stop this, so that they knew what to do. But if you go to authentic assessment, how the hell are you going to copy?
Yeah,
So
ChatGPT would allow that now.
you can, yes, you can say
AI would allow that. Yeah.
but you can easily say to them, that's not what we want. So tell them, go and get this idea from ChatGPT and then improve it. So think about authentic assessment rather than saying, oh, you must write an essay about something that you memorized. Do we want to have a break for a few moments?
5-minute
Yes,
comfort break?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yes,
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
So it's
So
exactly
maybe-
11 o'clock. What time shall we come back?
Let's say 10 past, 10 minutes. Is that okay, or you want longer?
No, it's
10
fine.
minutes, I
Thank
think
you.
should be good.
Yes, thanks.
Enough to grab
Okay.
a cup of coffee.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
So the next component of this is that, as you noticed while you were looking at the early learning components, is that there is lots of use of using media in there. So it's images, videos, storybooks, audio. So we would like you to perhaps go back into the breakaway rooms and try and identify and explore the media types used in the know-how course. How are these media types supporting the learning? And then try and create a very simple little framework about how each media is used, or are all the media used in similar ways? And then we can come back and discuss that component. So it's kind of thinking about how do we use media and how is it used in helping people to learn. Marilla, you want to say something else?
I just wonder if has everybody still got their link open, or do you need to repost that link again? maybe you can repost the link again in the chat so that everyone can get back into it to explore on their own or in their groups.
Yes.
So the idea
Also-
now is to look at any of the components and see how things are being used. So here is a sound. This is a quiz kind of information. Here's an image. There's the comment. So here's about physical play. There's not any components here. But here is a diagram. How is the diagram being used? Let's look at another component. No items here. This is just text and replying. And I think this goes on. And here is a image, and how is this image used and why is it used? And some more. And here are some ideas about just some components about it. So let's look at something else. So sound. There are just images with a caption.
Speech bubble.
Speech bubble. Another speech bubble. Again, just working through the information.
Alan, is the speech
Yes.
bubble storyboard you're referring to?
We're wanting
So-
you to go back into the same course again and to look at how multimedia is used to support or mediate learning.
Yes. So in the types of media that you listed, in that instruction, you had said audio, video, image, and then there's a storyboard or something. Is it storyboard or something? So I wanted to understand, what is the storyboard here? Is it this speech bubble?
No, where's
the
the story?
storyboard is not part
Go
of
to the
here.
activity. If you go to the activity again, where you so there at the storybook.
It's storybooks. Yes, it's the African storybooks.
So if you look carefully, there are actual storybooks embedded in some of the modules. You have to click
Oh.
on them and then you access an actual book.
Okay. Is this in
So
all
here's an image.
in all modules, just so that we can select the ones with all the components, and else we might not be able to.
Here is a book. So it is from the African Storybook. So this is a children's book.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay. So there are some, there are not many of them, so you need to find, but here is an image again. So if we keep looking, finding, so here is a video. Let's see if this will play. I don't know why it's not playing. Let me just see why it's not playing.
Alan, I think it's exactly what you were saying. Maybe because the videos are on the reference is to the tablets. You know, it's local and not.
No, this was set up to do this properly. So let me just I want to see why this is not working, because
404 means that it's not available.
Let's see. That's a book. No, let's go somewhere else. Let's see. There's the error. Okay, I can fix that. So it's not showing it because the video is not there. So
Yes.
I will fix that. Give me a moment. So you can then just go and have a look and see.
Use the link to go back into the actual website and access the course again. How long are we breaking away for, Alan?
30 minutes. If we can make it 20 minutes, might be better so we can finish on time.
Ashton, are you able to do the same groups again?
Yes. Can I open the rooms for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, Koo.
Yeah, Alan, I think, you know, exactly that the multimedia cannot be a bolt-on. You know, you use the word integrated, and that is really what we found. It was integrated, and specifically, you know, with certain modules that had a definite theme in terms of, you know, observing and monitoring, like in module 2, or, you know, the physical domain in module 3, the activities, you know, were linked to the actual content that you know was being presented in that particular module. So there was that learning by doing element, you know, from the point of view of the teachers as students, and then giving them ideas then to actually reflect and possibly put into practice when they are actually in school. You know, so what games would you use, you know, to check motor skills and development? So yeah, I think that was like done very, very nicely. Thank you.
Thank you. Some other comments?
Sorry, we came back late. Are we contributing group by group or?
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay, great. Ayanda here. I was also just about to jump in and ask, are we still on the breakout rooms or the groups? So in our groups, Prof, if I can just jump in there, we looked at from UKZN, we on the audio aspect, we thought we picked up a code switching element, multilingualism, and the accessibility on there. And we thought that the ability, although the code switching is not, and the multilingualism does not, the code switching is there, the functionality, but in terms of translation to different languages, it does part of it, but not in all the content, which is a good thing that it does give a view of what is the perspective in a different language, and then it takes it back to, well, it begins from the English and then to the different language to assist in the translation there. The storybook element, we thought, yes, it's got the narrative, which is, it's got an illustrative mode of showing things, and it's got a bit of inclusivity as well to sort of demo and show that visualization of what it actually means, with the narrative explaining what it means underneath or relating to the story above. And in the image, we thought it's more of a reflection. It's got a demonstration and it's construction. It's well, you know, kind of a construction. It's trying to enable that element. And in the video, it's got, apologies for the background noise, police. I'm in a call center style here. Video would be scenario learning and engagement, we thought. there is an extra element. I don't know if one of the groups would like to come in and just bring in that element of the thought process from the CHE, which is another factor we had a debate about. Thanks. I'll ask one of my colleagues maybe to come in and add on that element. Prof. Ruffin? Sorry, I think it was Prof. Yes.
It's Prof. Ruth.
It was Prof. Ruth. Yes, thanks, Patrick. I do think that was an important thing we brought in there. Do you maybe want to touch on that element from the CH influence in terms of how we look at the when we discuss on overall in terms of whether it's an audio or image, especially with the audio aspect. Sorry to it's Prof. Ruth around. Okay, but
covered by you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, colleagues. That's our views from our group for this instance.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to comment on how the media is used as a teaching tool? So not just about sharing information or illustrating a point.
What I also found valuable is that the images were also made accessible in the sense that there was a description to the image plus the audio explanation. That's what I can add to what colleagues have contributed.
Thank you.
So for me, accessibility is also important.
Any other?
Alan, can I say something? It's Paolo.
Yes, of course.
I thought that, when we're using the various sources of media, the one would be very, very impactful would be the videos. And unfortunately, we couldn't see any of them. And I'm
Sorry,
sure
that's
quite an
something has
important
gone
role.
wrong, but I'll fix that.
Yeah, I'm sure that will be quite important. But can I ask something else? In terms of are we assessing the development of children at different ages? I think that they're not all at the same point in terms of the development, even if it's the same age group. There must be a lot of diversity and differences within a country, and maybe within different countries in the continent.
So maybe we can think about a single way of thinking about all media, how it should be used. It's not just, as Marilla was saying, just have a look at this. That's not enough, I don't think, and other people don't think it's okay. Ermine, you want to say something?
Yeah, I found that the media was frequently a very good way of stimulating people to access their own prior knowledge. So I noticed that frequently there was either an embedded story or a video or something like that. And then while watching or while listening, people had to tick on a questionnaire certain responses. And so that would give them access to, it's a very quick way of them recording their own prior knowledge or attitudes or whatever. And then frequently they're asked to reflect on that and then to come back and refine and then, or the comment section at the end would add further knowledge or something like that. But I just thought that it certainly gives access to prior knowledge in yourself. Sometimes you're asked, what do you think about this? And you can't come up with it. But if you get this checklist and you're doing an activity that stimulates reflection, then it's an easy way of forming an impression of what you think about something.
Thank you. I think that's what is really important when we think about using any kind of media, is what are you going to ask the student to do with that media?
It's really, I mean, it all ties back to activity-based learning. So not
Yes.
as far as I know, the majority of the media used all have some kind of activity around them. People have to think about something, or they have to answer the questions, or they have to identify something or make something. So although, as was pointed out, very unfortunately, the fact is that we couldn't see some of the videos, but the point wasn't to see the video in this activity. The point was to see how a video was used as a tool for teaching. So there were questions that preceded the video. People were asked to think about while actually watching the video, or reflect on after watching the video. So the activity wasn't just a passive watching of a video. The activity was engaging actively in watching the video so that you could then reflect and answer the questions. And that's why we try to make the point, look at how the actual multimedia is embedded in the learning process, and how does it actually support learning. So not just as a transmission of information, but actually as a springboard, if you like, or a catalyst for activity in which the student or learner, and in this case, the learners, Bala, are teachers. I don't know if you realize that this is a course for teachers and it's not for children.
Yes. No, Ashton explained that to us.
Okay. So it's about, it's about the teachers actually reflecting on their own learning and engaging in their own learning through the use of multimedia to support that as a tool.
Can I ask what the Child Steps app is? I couldn't quite work it out from the context, because that would surely be another embedded media.
Sorry, I didn't hear. What was the question?
The Child Steps app.
That's a whole different part of the Roger Federer component. So
okay,
there are 3 different processes that they're helping the schools to support the early learning process. And so know-how is one of them, and the others are also part and parcel of that. So it's about giving a holistic way of supporting the teachers to generate and understand the work that they need to do. Because, for instance, in many of the African countries where they work, the teachers who are doing the early childhood learning have no qualification. So this is a way of helping them to think about these things. There was a person who had their hand.
I think you just answered my question. I was asking if this is for adults, what value does it add putting an ear next to write down what you hear? Because I thought that would be self-explanatory. So I think, yeah, you've answered my question.
It's also just making it visually, changing it all the time so that you don't just have words all the time. So I would like to thank you all for participation. But before you go, I'm going to share where is it? Okay. So I will put in the, where is it? The chat box, if you haven't got the website, because here is a certificate of completion, and we want you to please complete this. It won't take you very long, and you will get your completion certificate, we hope. This is a brand new piece of tech, so it might, hopefully it will work. So here it is. You need to add your name, your title name, surname, your institution, then answer these questions about the work, about this module, and then what are 2 aspects that you found most relevant and how could we improve it? And then there are 5 questions that you have to answer. So you can check your score as you go, so that you can get, once you are over 80%, you can get the submit, and you will then get your certificate. So if you want a certificate, and we would really like you to please fill in this so that we can improve our engagement with you. But you can also have more talking to us while people are doing this.
Sorry, Alan. I don't want to interrupt you, but I've done this and I've got my certificate, but it didn't give the course name. It gave, there's a mistake on it.
Okay, can you just send that to me by email, and then I'll fix it?
Because I suspect it's going to happen with everybody.
Yes, so just send it to me, because I mean, it is a new process.
Yeah, okay.
And it's the very first time we're using it, so.
Yeah. Looks nice, but it, yeah.
So Alan, should we wait to
Um,
get feedback from you that it's sorted instead of everyone having to go through the same?
Okay, let me just see what it is doing. Just give me a moment. If I mean, you send it to me.
Yeah,
straight
I'm
away.
going to send it to you. Sorry. I've sent it, Alan.
Okay, just let's see. It hasn't come yet. But Marilla, would you like to just talk a little bit more, and while I sort this out? You mute, Marilla.
Sorry, thank you. I think that it's just really about reflecting on sort of key learnings from today. I mean, what do people feel that they have learned? Can we reflect a little bit? What are the key takeaways from today?
I'm quickly going to say something because unfortunately I have to go.
Sure.
I really, really enjoyed this. I mean, I found the beginning a little bit overwhelming, but I thought it was really interesting, and it was very nice to engage with a course, to learn by engaging with your course. So yeah, I've learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to the next sessions. Thanks.
I mean, thank
very much.
you. Can I just detain you one more minute?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on the overwhelming? Because I think that's an important aspect for us to consider so that we don't commence courses by overwhelming people.
Okay. I think that in the first breakout session, we just really tried to get on top of like Nimble and exactly what it was we had to do, and we got the CAT framework. So it was just sort of trying to work out how these frameworks kind of like how they guide the activity that we had to do. And I think we spent a lot of time. So I thought that it might be quite useful to have some of the diagrams beforehand, so that you could at least have them downloaded and ready to use, something like that.
Okay. Thank you. No, I think, yeah, I think, I mean, I think you make an interesting point, and I think it's also maybe about sequencing, because, I mean, to some extent, the introduction of the CAT framework was really, I suppose, to emphasize the value of authentic activity.
Yes.
And possibly that wasn't, you know, made explicit enough. And then the idea was really to look at the structure of the learning design, to sort of reflect on that before then actually going into an evaluation process. But thank you for highlighting that, because I think it's important that we think more carefully about how we present some of this information so that it's not overwhelming. Thank you.
Can I just remind everyone that all the components are on the website. So on Monday, the next short learning course, the fully component will be on the website. So you can always go to the website and have a look at what the engagement would be.
Which website, Alan?
The Siyaphumelela website.
Okay, so I think it's important to know that these courses are on the Siyaphumelela website, so that you can go back to them at any point in time, apart from going ahead of time, also going backwards in time, so that you can actually spend time looking at any component that you might want to revisit. Are there any other comments, any other takeaways from this morning session that people felt were useful or weren't useful? Anything
just to tell you that I will see what has gone wrong with this process, and I will then send you all the correct Siyaphumelela pathway to the process, because if you notice at the top there, there's a number there, and that's the date of today, so that we don't have hundreds and thousands of people doing this. I will fix the errors, and I will then send the link to you to get your information saved and your certificate created. So something went wrong somewhere, and I will fix it.
So if I may also just explain, when it was proposed at meetings with the Siyaphumelela partners that we introduce these short learning programs, and that they are online and consolidated, so that so they're not just one-off workshops that either you attend or you miss, but that these are actual structured short courses that can be revisited and that people can engage with in their own time and at their own pace. One of the recommendations from partner institutions was that there's some kind of certificate that proves that people have actually participated. and that these at certain universities might be acknowledged as part of ongoing professional development. So it's with that in mind that at the end of each module, there will be a short evaluation and a short questionnaire for people to fill in. And people are asked to please fill in the evaluation and in order to get the certificate so that you have proof of participation should your institution require it. Thanks. Bala, I see your hand up. Bala, did you want to say something? There's a hand in the air.
The date of the on the certificate is 1970.
Thank you for pointing that out. I'm sure Alan will fix that.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments or any key learnings today about learning design or the value of activity-based learning or the value of using multimedia as a tool for learning, not just as a tool for transmitting information? Okay. If not, then please look out for Alan's email for the evaluation, and thank you everybody for your participation and for the conversations and engagement and inputs. We look forward to meeting again next week, but it will be on a Thursday, not on a Wednesday as today. So I think, am I correct? We're meeting again on
The 12th.
Thursday the 12th. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. It has been fun being with you today.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
So
Bye.
should we not evaluate or do the quiz just yet, or
No, don't do it. I will fix it and send you all the links to
so
do.
we should do the evaluation as well, all at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do a
Thank you.
screenshot.
When you get the link that Alan sends you.